Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, and this is my tips and tricks guide for Chun-Li in Street Fighter V Champion Edition. So as with all these style of guides, I'm going to be covering a wide variety of topics, so there will be timestamps in the video description if you just want to skip ahead to any specific point. So we'll be starting with some basics here and moving on to more advanced concepts, but hey, let's start at the start. So let's start with the basics of Chun-Li's moveset. So, Chun-Li's special moves. These are the classics. She's had these going all the way back to Street Fighter 2. First up, we have the Kikoken. So this is her projectile. Now, one thing to note here is it's a charge move. So, as with many of her moves, they are charge. But first up here, you might notice here, this is the light version, and it didn't quite go full screen. She's not that kind of character. So the light version goes slow and far, for her anyways. The medium version, a little bit quicker, but not quite the same range. And the heavy version has the fastest projectile, but has the least amount of range. So for her, she's not going to be winning full screen zoning war. She's not meant to be like Ryu or Sagat or something like that. For her, fireballs are for pressure, because she's like Guile in that she can kind of walk behind the fireball. Now, not as good as Guile, but the fact that you can do something like that, you might notice there, two-hit combo. So she can use it as a pressure tool to follow up. Now, one thing to note here, the EX version is double hitting and does go full screen, does a fair bit more damage too. And just like before, you can follow up behind it, get extra hits, all that kind of stuff. So this is not so much a zoning tool as it is a pressure tool. Now another move here, the classic lightning legs. So that is quarter circle forward and one of your kicks, or conversely, you can mash a button and get it as well. But it's basically just better to do the motion. So new to Street Fighter V Champion Edition is the heavy version of lightning legs. Does a knockdown now. So you can dash forward, get pressure, get setups, all that kind of stuff, right? That never was the case before, and hey, that's kind of a big deal. Now, as for your other lightning legs, they're mostly, well, all the lightning legs, regardless, are all combo fodder, right? Outside of the EX version, which we'll talk about in a second here, you're never going to be using lightning legs raw. And if you did, it's probably because you overmatched or something like that, right? But as far as combos go, stuff like this, you might notice here, the light lightning legs is +4, meaning you can actually get follow-ups here if you're in the middle of a combo, like crouch light. The medium lightning legs is +3, so you can do a crouch light kick afterwards. You got to time it correctly. I record these and I make mistakes. That's just how this works. But yeah, so they're mostly combo fodder just across the board, right? It is very valuable now to end a combo in heavy lightning legs because of the knockdown and the Oki pressure, all that kind of stuff you can get afterwards. I'm not going to say it was a dead move before, but it was certainly not as valuable as it is now. Now, as for EX legs. So EX legs has a pretty good amount of forward momentum. This is roughly the range of the move here. You got to be a little bit closer to get all the hits. There you go. Now, the big thing about this here is its absurdly quick startup. And what do I mean by that? Her EX lightning legs starts up in 5 frames. So 5 frames of animation from when you execute to when it hits. Making this basically one of the best punishes in the game, as she can punish a lot of things a lot of characters cannot. There are many moves in this game that are like exactly -5 or -7 that have quite a bit of range to them. It's like, oh, you can't punish it or something. Like, say, Vega's back claws, right? And Chun-Li can totally punish them with EX legs. So it puts her in a unique position that she is able to deal with a lot of basically garbage that a lot of characters can't, because it's so fast. So obviously this is predicated on you knowing all your frame data for all your characters, right? But just rest assured, Chun with the reach can get people that a lot of characters just can't. The final of Chun-Li's special moves is the spinning bird kick. So once again, another classic, and yes, this is a charge move, so you got to charge down, 2 up, and then 1 of your kicks. So one of the things new to Champion Edition is the heavy version of her spinning bird kick now can combo directly into the classic B&B. So that could not combo before, if at all, right? And basically, what does it mean? Well, it just means, hey, more damage, more stun, right? You basically get the same Oki setups, pressure, all that kind of stuff on knockdown from all the versions of lightning legs. But basically, you just get more, better damage off your combos. So, yes, this is absolutely a combo ender kind of thing. You're not going to be doing SBKs in neutral or anything like that. They're all death on block. Please don't do it. Now, to quickly note here, the EX version, that is her invincible reversal. So it is full invincible. You can't hit her, can't nothing, whatever. And yeah, that's basically it. This is your version of your invincible Shoryuken. Let's put it that way, right? Now, one thing to note, it actually hits both sides. So if for whatever reason the enemy appears on the other side of you, be it via a jump or some sort of, like, say, M-Bison teleport shenanigans, you will get the other side as well. So it's complete coverage. And of course, as always with invincible reversals, it is death on block. So if you're doing it, you better mean it. But yeah, so the EX version is purely a defensive measure, and the other versions are all combo enders. Each version has its own combo. Obviously, the higher the strength, you know, like medium heavy, the better the damage, stun, all that kind of stuff. But, you know, only certain ones can combo off certain things. Like this one's a light spinning bird kick combo only, that kind of stuff. So you will need to keep in mind which combo you're doing and which spinning bird kick you want to do after that. So also, just to quickly mention her critical art, or super move here. So it hits roughly at the edge of this distance, as you can see right there. And hey, cinematically a lot of kicks and all that kind of stuff. One thing to note is it is completely projectile immune during the whole distance. So you can basically threaten with it pretty easily. And most projectiles in this game extend the forward hurt box of the character while they're doing the projectile, making it all the much easier to clip their hands or whatever they're doing while they're tossing out the projectile. So I'm not going to say you're often going to have full bar to deal with it, because EX Legs is so good. EXC Koken also is basically like, no, I want to own neutral for this hot second, right? So she has a lot of really strong bar uses. You're not always going to have it, but for what it is, Chun, if you're a character that is more reliant on projectiles, like say Ryu, Urien, or something like that, if she has full super, she can really shut down the match pretty quick, as she'll always be able to threaten it on reaction and just go from there. So let's talk Chun-Li's V skills, and let's start here with V skill 1. That's this guy right here. So by itself, the main use, originally anyways, when the game launched, of this V skill is basically to make up for Chun-Li's jump. Chun-Li has a very poor jump in this game. It's very floaty, does not go very far at all, and this basically gives you an alternative angle, right? So, well, from here, I can't touch Bison, but with the V skill, hey, sure. So, it doesn't go quite as high, gives you more forward range, although obviously still very floaty indeed, right? So, some other stuff that's been added to it over time is now, hey, it has a follow-up. So, if you hit V skill again before you land, she will do this kick follow-up. And this basically counts as a heavy attack as far as like damage and stuff goes, right? So, it just gives you another opportunity just to land a heavy. Certain combos use it as it has juggle potential. So say if you're in a corner and land with it, hey, you can keep going from there, right? Now, another thing to note here is it does have a hitbox. So you can hit an enemy when you are doing this. And from there, hey, surprise, you know, you can totally follow up and all that kind of stuff, right? You can also air juggle and get toe taps afterwards. This kind of stuff right here. So it is combo okay, and you can combo directly into it as well. One thing to note here, this specific combo I'm doing here of Crouch Light Stand Medium, this will only work on standing opponents. Crouching opponents, not so much, unless they are very large. So I'm talking like Abigail, Zangief, Gil, like exceptionally tall characters, right? For them, if they're crouching or not, whatever. It's a true combo either way, but for everyone else, it's standing only. So just to give you an idea what you can do with it combo-wise, something like that, right? So, it's been really buffed, and Championship Edition V-Skill 1 is now the best it's ever been, right? It is still good for overcoming the shortcomings of a regular jump. So if you really got to get in from further away, it works that way. And as the combo tool, it's much better. And before we talk about V-Skill 2, I'm going to tell you right now, this is the V-Skill you want. V-Skill 2 sucks, so hey, let's talk about it. So, V-Skill 2. This is the newly added V-Skill for Street Fighter V Champion Edition. The classic Kazanshu, and I'm here to tell you, my friends, don't pick this V-Skill. I'm sorry to say. It's just not good. Where do I even start? So, it's meant, like a classic Kazanshu, to like, kind of go, you know, over projectiles, clip the other guy in the head, right? The thing about that is it's not good at its job. It doesn't travel very far. It has no projectile invincibility. So if you try to do this, go over a projectile, like you have to cleanly go over it. And most of the time, you're just going to get clipped by it anyways, so what's the point? It's also hilariously unsafe on block up close. You can control the distance, so if you hold backwards, you will not go as far as you would otherwise. So if you hit with like the edge of it, it's not as unsafe, but still, it just plain stinks. Now, one thing to note, and it is an interesting property, but it doesn't save it, is it is an OTG. So if the enemy does not do a wake up after a knockdown, you can combo with it. You can hit him on the ground. This style of property is incredibly rare in Street Fighter. It's not unheard of in Street Fighter. Certainly a lot more common in other games, but in Street Fighter it's very rare, and you can do it. But it predicates you knowing they're going to not wake up, because if you do it too late, you're not going to get anything. Like, oh, he's knocked down, I better do it. Oh, it's going to miss, right? You have to do it right away. So that requires a multi-level read for something that's only a couple points of damage and just not really worth it in the end. Just all in all, I don't want to say this, but just don't pick V-Skill 2, V-Skill 1. Even though V-Skill 1 itself is also not amazing, compared to, say, what other characters get, V-Skill 1 is absolutely better than V-Skill 2. The V-Triggers. So first up, let's talk about V-Trigger 1 here. And V-Trigger 1, for lack of a more eloquent term, basically turns into like a boss version of Chun-Li. You are now an install, and everything you do is just better. So the first thing to note here is it just will increase your damage for mediums and heavies. So while you're in the state here, your lights, well, they're still your lights. But your mediums, you might see here, stand medium, says 2 hits here. This is not normally a 2-hit move. And also, on top of getting the extra hits, it will do more damage. So, see here, it does 60, and if I'm in my trigger, hey, all of a sudden, it's 70. So, the extra hit does another 10 damage. Same deal here with heavies. Heavies get 2 extra hits, turning them from a single hit to 3 hits. So, your stand heavy now does 90 from the usual 80 as well. So, your basic pokes and all that kind of stuff are effectively just better. You'll do more damage in just your average situations here where you're just flitting around in neutral. And there's a lot more to it than that. That's just, you know, the tip of the iceberg for this. V-Trigger 1 also changes a lot of properties of your moves. So say her down forward medium kick. This is her overhead, right? You can now do a natural combo from this. So you can link a crouch light punch afterwards. This is not a counter hit, not nothing. So you can combo directly after your overhead, for one example. Also, your forward heavy kick here. Forward heavy kick, same deal here. You can just naturally combo from it. So you can go for the usual B and B, that kind of stuff, right? You have a lot more combo potential in this mode. And that, once again, let's talk another layer here. Let's use the V-Skill for an example. So let's say I just combo right into trigger. Like, that's a combo normally not possible, right? For one, stand medium does not naturally combo into crouch heavy outside a counter hit, and V-Trigger 1 totally does. I also normally would not be able to juggle with the heavy kick afterwards, but I can in V-Trigger 1. Also, while in V-Trigger 1, your back heavy, this guy right here, which is one of your better crush counter tools and just all-around pressure tools, because it's very plus and block as well, it now also destroys fireballs. Only a single hit. So if you're dealing with, like, say, Bison ZX Fireball or an EX Sonic Boom or something, you'll crush one hit of it and then get smacked by the other. So, you know, only deal with the single hit stuff, right? But yeah, you just have so many more options, from, you know, more general damage for pokes, better combo ability, more properties here, like stuff like the back heavy. You are better, faster, stronger, basically install style with Chun-Li. The only thing is, it don't last very long. You will be very pressured to do stuff as fast as you can while you're in this mode, because it goes away pretty quick, unfortunately. All that said, very easy to combo into. Like I said, basic B&B. It'll leave you directly beside the enemy. You can do whatever you want from there. The classic down medium, slide into trigger, that kind of stuff. That works out just as well. So you can do a lot of stuff with it. There's a lot of ways to easily activate it, so you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, so it's great. It's just not there forever. V-Trigger 2 is the classic Kikosho. So basically, supercharged fireball for Chun-Li. Now, you do the move here, and, you know, big old damage, launches, all that kind of fun stuff, and that's one of the main things about it, is you can really do this off anything. It turns like a basic poke into a big tool. So like, say stand heavy punch, which is, you know, one of our more, this is definitely one of the more dominant pokes, right? So you can just kind of OS it here, and every time you go for it, you just enter your V trigger, nothing comes out on whiff, and if it hits, cool, you get your hit. Now you might notice the follow-up here, not quite as big as the initial trigger, to be sure, right? And I guess that's very much by design, but there's some modularity to it. So the follow-ups, not the initial, but the follow-ups only, can guard break. So this move, you can hold it. And as you see here, Chun-Li, she does a nice little pose here. If you hold it, it is a guard break, and you can just smack the enemy clear as day. They are set to guard all right now. And as you see, they're guarding everything. And after the initial one, if you hold it, cool, I can do whatever I want afterwards. Not too slow, like you see there with the overhead miss, but there's an example, right? So the thing here is the initial hit can never guard break. The initial hit is just what it is. So in no way, shape, or form can you get it to guard break. Now, the one thing about the initial hit versus the other hits of this is it does launch quite a bit higher. So while they both launch, as you can see here, and you get like, say, you know, EX legs or something afterwards if you weren't slow like me, but I'm talking and it makes it always hard to do, but you get the idea right there, right? But the initial hit launches higher, so you can do stuff like this in the corner. And follow up with V-skill. With the regular hits, not so much. You can't follow up with V-skill, only the initial hit. So the two parts are different. The initial hit is its own thing, and then consider the follow-ups you have with your bar afterwards, just a kind of a different thing. They both juggle, they both go into EX legs afterwards, which is one of the main uses you're going to use. But yeah, the general gist is, this is your poke machine button. You can turn any old poke into a nice little follow-up. And just so you can see right there, that's juggle okay with everything, right? It doesn't have to be EX legs. You can use like a stand medium punch or whatever, and we'll have a section about a mix-up involving that later on in the video. It just gives you a lot more potential off pokes. You're not necessarily going to get the big combos V-Trigger 1 gives you, but as I can tell you right there, just looking at the bar below, it drains a lot slower, so you can afford to not just, you know, rush in and go crazy because you're terrified your bar's going to round. You can just, you know, wait, pick your moment, and then, you know, oh, got my poke, cool. Nice little follow-up, nice little chunk of damage, right? I think that's very fair damage for a simple, you know, neutral poke. And you can turn any old hit into that. Like even moves that are not normally special cancelable, super cancelable, nothing like stand medium kick, right? Hey, there you go. Bingo, bango, bongo, you got it. So you may indeed fish for it, like the VT1, like, you know, going for your down medium and all that kind of stuff, right? And you're not going to get the big damage, but it gives you just a lot more room to breathe, and you basically can play the same game plan you already are playing without to go crazy, and just turns any, you know, stray whiff, anything into just big extra damage. So between the two V triggers, honestly, your mileage may vary, right? V trigger 1 is certainly a much more explosive V trigger. V trigger 2 is a lot more measured. Obviously, too, they're different as well in terms of bars. V trigger 2 is a 3 bar versus V trigger 1 being a 1 bar. So you are able to mess around with V trigger 1, you know, a lot earlier in the match and that kind of stuff. But basically, if you want to play more explosively, V trigger 1 is the way to go. If you want to play just, you know, the more measured game plan you're always doing anyways, V trigger 2 I think is the way to stay, because you don't really got to change up anything, and then just once again you turn basic pokes into just very explosive situations. So for our first little piece of tech here, let's just talk about a very simple one here, the displacement shimmy. So if you know anything about Street Fighter V, you probably know the concept of shimmying. Basically, hey, I want you to try to tech a throw. I'm going to walk backwards before you tech the throw, making your throw tech whiff, and I clock you in the face, right? So basic movement can do that for a lot of stuff, but what the displacement shimmy is you're going to do a move, and the move is going to shimmy for you. And for us, this move is forward or back and medium punch. So say we do very basic here, the new and improved heavy lightning legs knockdown. So right here, as they get up, hey, they're in range for a regular throw. And say if we're going for like a frame kill setup here, we can withstand medium kick, go right for a throw, right? So the enemy is preconditioned, okay, well, we're going to throw after this kind of thing. So what we want to do then is go for, once again, that forward or back medium punch. And what happens here? We're now outside of throw range. So what's happening here is this move, because it has such a forward amount of momentum, is actually pushing us out of the corner. So we are no longer in range. Versus if we just stood still, hey, there we are, right? Or if we whiff that stand medium kick we talked about, same deal. But this moves us out of the range by itself. So if you have already conditioned the enemy to like, oh, okay, after a knockdown, they whiff a button here for timing, then they go for the throw. This is the thing you do to then basically screw them up, mess up their timing, mess up their expectations. Because they see you whiff that button, oh, okay, here comes the throw, they're starting to mash on throw, and you're just outside of range. And from there, of course, you know, you can whiff punch with back heavy, classic down medium kick into SBK if you have charge, or just you know, lightning legs, whatever, right? But it's basically just a way to visually trick the enemy once you have already set something out. The forward medium punch here does the shimmying for you. You don't got to do it yourself. You don't got to walk back and forward yourself. So let's talk some of the more notable normals. Now, Chun is a character all about the normals, all about the neutral and pressure with the buttons, right? And we'll have a little section talking about that as well. But let's just talk about some of the more notable normals outside of those situations. And first up, hey, let's talk about neutral jump, heavy kick here. So in older versions of Street Fighter games, a lot of characters had like unique neutral jumps. In Street Fighter V, not so much, but Chun-Li is one of them. So this is her jumping backwards and forwards heavy kick, and this is heavy kick in the air when you just neutral jump. And you might notice, hey, she hits both sides. Well, you know, she's kicking both sides, and yeah, it does indeed hit both sides. So let's say crazy old Bison, he's just gonna go nuts on his new and improved V skill too, right? The teleport. Well then, hey, we can hit both sides. We don't have to be on the side he's at to hit him. So this is one of those things where it's very valuable for Chun to neutral jump over some other characters, because if they manage to dash under you or whatever, doing whatever they're doing here, you can still hit both sides. You don't have to worry about it. Another notable normal is the new and improved stand medium punch in Street Fighter V Champion Edition. So it's a 5-frame move, so it's very quick. And it's +3 on block, and +3 on block is nothing to sneeze at, just so you know. And it pushes back less than it used to. So, like, kind of walking forward, just checking people with this is now a much more valuable tool. And you can just mix it up with walking forward and just actually throwing them. And if they actually, you know, try to tech or whatever, that kind of stuff, hey, get shocked. Simple as that, right? So, this is a much more valuable tool in that regard, as you just kind of walk forward pressure, walk forward pressure, walk forward pressure. Make sure you don't hold forward and hit medium so you get the command normal. But yeah, you can just kind of really check people with this, and it's a much more valuable pressure tool than it ever was before. Because eventually, once they just submit and like, okay, I'm not going to try to challenge you during this, well then that's when you walk forward and you chuck. Now another strong button here is stand light kick, because this is basically her most reliable anti-air. Now, it's not the terror it was in Season 1. In Season 1, this move, oh my god, this is like one of the best moves in the game, right? But still, it's very reliable at stopping very obvious jump-ins, which is why you want to use it. Being a light, you actually recover very quickly, meaning you can do stuff like this, and just like walk in front of the enemy and just pressure them as soon as they land, right? Be it with like stand mediums, or you can just go for a throw attempt, or, you know, whatever. You recover a lot faster than the enemy does. Also, on that note, you can also dash forward, you know, and from there also dash forward and cross up. So it's just basically, okay, do you want to hold forward and cross under, or just dash forward, don't hold forward, and you stay same side, right? It's really as simple as that. But basically the name of the game is, while you don't get a lot of damage, obviously, as you can see right there, you do get a lot of pressure potential for stopping the jump in. It is absolutely your turn, and don't do it too late. Once again, it's not Season 1. So if you do it too late, you're going to trade or lose out. But still, the name of the game is, you get a little bit of damage, but you are directly on top of the enemy afterwards, and you can pressure, 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 or go for a little bit of a gimmick and a crossunder, whatever you want. So this is definitely one of our more notable anti-airs. They also have back heavy kick, which is serviceable, especially if they're more directly on top of you, but being a lot slower, it is not as reliable as the old classic stand light kick. Another notable normal to talk about very quickly here is forward heavy kick. So forward heavy kick crushes over low moves here. Like, so crouch light kick, crouch medium kick, that kind of stuff, because you are a little bit airborne. It is also crush counter, so if you get a counter hit with this, then hey, combo out, all that fun stuff. But the thing though here is this, so normally, is here it says -2, so -2, well, point blank, you don't want to do a point blank, but you know, further out, whatever. It's not the end of the world, but depending on the character, you definitely don't want to be -2 against Zangief or something, right? But if you space this move correctly, so if you want to hit at the exact edge of the move, you might say it said +1 there real quick, right? So if you space it perfectly, you can make this move either neutral instead of like the usual negative, or +1 or even +2 at the exact edge of the move. So you can turn this from a negative situation to a positive one, depending on your spacing. Now, it is tricky. You're gonna have to practice it. It is better against wider characters than thinner characters, as it's a lot easier to get that spacing down. That's a +2 example right there. But yeah, so use this move, and just keep in mind that if you space it right, you can turn that downside of the negative into an advantage of being positive. So let's talk Chun-Li and the neutral. So Chun-Li has a lot of range and a lot of buttons, and you want to use a lot of different buttons in a lot of different situations. So a lot of her neutral, just before we get into anything else here, like a lot of it can be supplemented with Kikokens and all that kind of stuff here. But let's just talk about the buttons. And let's talk about them first just range-wise. And as far as range goes, stand heavy kick's obviously the king of range. As you can see, this is like a nothing distance to hit a character from. This is pretty crazy. With Street Fighter V being, you know, a shorter range game than previous Street Fighters, to be sure, Chun can still crank you out. Don't worry about that, right? Now, it's not as valuable against people who want to stay more crouch, more lower to the ground, as it will hit high up and can miss crouching people sometimes. But still, hey, range-wise, not really contestable against most of the cast. Most of the cast can't deal with this. Also, hey, it's a crush counter, so if you do manage to tag someone with it, you can dash forward, crouch medium kick, legs, that kind of stuff, right? So next up here is standing heavy punch. Now, stand heavy punch will miss from range as stand heavy kick will hit from, just so you know. It is a shorter range move, but you don't got to worry about, you know, people crouching, and it is quicker, right? And generally, the rule is the shorter the range, quicker the move. Now, one thing about this here, before anything else, it's very good for V-trigger activations and that kind of stuff. Because if you get hit, then yeah, that's awesome. Also, the move itself is super cancelable. So if you're just doing this in a situation where you're waiting for them to either hit a butt into it or just walk into it, if you buffer in super, hey, super is going to come out. So it's very good in those kind of situations if you have the bar, and just keep that in mind. But yeah, it's just a very good brute force, just like, hey, stop, stop. Get hit. Like, it's a solid chunk of damage every single time, right? Once again, between this and stand heavy kick, these are ranges most characters can't deal with. They have to walk into Chun-Li's buttons. So use these to bully people. So once they get a little closer in here, we start using forward or back, because it works both ways. Medium punch here, and we have stand medium kick. Now, forward medium punch has more range than stand medium kick, but stand medium kick has its own use. But yeah, forward medium punch is ripping quick, just in case you didn't know. It is a very fast 7-frame move, and also neutral on block. And also, since we're talking about neutral here, it won't come up all the time, but if you do get a counter hit with it, you actually have enough advantage after a counter hit with your forward medium punch to directly go into EX Lightning Legs. As we talked about earlier in the video, EX Lightning Legs being so quick, you can get a nice little chunk of damage just from that, right? So if you are eagle-eyed, or if you just know you're going to get that counter hit, keep that in the chamber, because that's a lot of damage off a quick little poke. Now, stand medium kick. It's slower than forward medium punch. Also doesn't have as much range, but what it does have is the hitbox. So when Chun lifts her legs, there's no hitbox underneath that leg. So for people who want to do footsies with, like, you know, crouching light kick, crouching medium kick, like say a Karen or something, right? She'll kick clear over it and just bonk them in the head. So it's more of a matchup style of button. You're not going to use it against everybody. Like if you're fighting, I don't know, like Vega, and he's just doing like stand medium claw. This is not really a move that's going to get you anywhere. But for characters that do a lot of crouching based moves as part of their neutral, the medium kick can just pretty much clearly go over it and just bop them in the head. Because the only part of her hitbox that is on the ground is the back of her leg in the far back. So they have to touch that, or where her leg is standing in the air, to hit her. So yeah, that's just an overview of the more important buttons in neutral. Depending on your situation, things might change. You might use, you know, forward heavy kicks. Even up close, you know, stand jab gets a lot more valuable as well. But just in this distance here, the classic neutral situation, those are generally the buttons you're looking for and situations you want to use them in. So let's talk air to air. And by that I mean both people are in the air at the same time. It could be your rushing up to counteract them, or you try to jump and they try to jump at the same time and all that kind of stuff. You meet each other in the air. But yeah, she has a lot of options from this. The first one we'll talk about here is Jump Medium Punch. Jump Medium Punch creates a juggle OK state, meaning you can do something like this, where if you hit and then go right into EX Lightning Legs, or right into regular Lightning Legs as well, that kind of stuff. So you create a juggle OK state. Also, since you can do that, you can do stuff like this and get your toe taps on. So basically, you get more combo follow-up. It's also quite a quick button here, so you don't really have to worry about losing air to air, especially if you're trying to meet them in the air as like a counter attack. But yeah, you get a lot more damage than the usual jump in, as you can see right there, right? When you trade. So it's just really solid. Also, Jumping Light Kick. Now, Jumping Light Kick, the big thing about that is it lets you side switch. So after you do it, the move actually launches the enemy in the air a little bit, and so you're going to hit the ground first. And because you're going to hit the ground first, well then, hey, I'm over here. Oh, hey, I'm same side. Oh, hey, I'm over here. Oh, hey, I moved, then I move forward, and that kind of stuff, right? So you can basically choose what side you land on, as long as you end up roughly even with the enemy when you go air to air. Due to the fact that it launches them up, and just go from there. You can move forward and then move back to, say, same side, move forward to stay on the cross-up, whatever you want to do. But it's an option to basically 50-50, am I left side or am I right side on the enemy? Another thing, she has an air throw. Air throws being what they are very quick, and generally, they're going to win air to air. They're quick, they have massive hitboxes, and they'll suck people into like a bit of a vortex, and you can just dunk them from there. Also, we'll talk about later in the video, she gets pretty decent pressure afterwards, because it is a throw, so you can only up tech, you can't back rise from it. Another thing to note here, due to Championship Edition change, so say you're just sitting there, you're trying to build charge or whatever, you go for a Kokogen, and the enemy walks forward and goes for a cross-up. You know, Stand Light being what it is, it's not really going to stop cross-up attempts, as you can see right there, but what you can do is jump back and throw them. So before, if you tried to jump back and air throw, what the game would do is basically read the input as you trying to do a bird kick, and bird kick, it doesn't work as an anti-air, right? But now, since the input buffer has changed up a bit, you can jump back and throw. Don't do it too late, as you can see there, but you can jump back and throw them and not have to worry about the cross-up attempts. So it is a good defensive measure now that works better, as it doesn't use a charge spinning bird kick against you. So in those situations where you know the enemy is going to try to cross you up, just jump back and go for that air throw. So let's talk Okizeme, Oki for short, or otherwise just known as knockdown pressure. So a lot of this is going to be in the way of what we call frame kills. And frame kills are this. So as you see, any move we do here has frame data associated with it. And the frame kill is basically a mathematically perfect setup. Or we're using the math of the situation to work to our benefit. And we're going to start with a new and improved knockdown on heavy kick legs, because this gives us a lot of opportunities Chun-Li never had before. So after heavy legs, since frame kills are all about timing, what we want to do is this. After heavy legs, knockdown, forward dash. So the enemy has a choice. When they recover here, they can, stand up right away, which has a quicker recovery for them. It'll be faster for them to rise, or they can back roll and gain more space. And this will change the numbers of the situation just a little bit, but still the numbers are in our advantage. So now let's just assume they use the quick rise first. So heavy legs, dash forward. And after that dash forward, we're plus 14. Plus 14, you got too much time almost. You want to shorten it a bit. So what we're going to do is now whiff purposely a crouch light punch, and then we'll shorten that gap. So after dash forward, whiffing crouch light punch, we are plus 3, and that's just perfect for us. So from plus 3, we can do quite a few things. First and foremost is we can just throw them. Throw is 5 frames. Since we are plus 3 afterwards, they can't do anything about it. They can't hit any button. There's nothing they can do. All they can do is jump or tech. That's it. So if they do anything other than those two situations after a quick rise, after the heavy legs knockdown, that's all the options they got. And hey, of course, you know what else is 5 frames? Hey, stand medium punch. And so if they try to jump, or if they try to tech, well then in that situation, they're going to get clocked by stand medium punch, and from there go stand medium, crouch medium, into legs if it hits, and you can reloop it or whatever you want to do. On counter hit as well, stand medium if they try to tech. Counter hit, stand medium goes right into crouch heavy as well for new combo opportunities. But yeah, that's a basic thing. So now instead, let's assume they do the back roll instead, right? So the frame numbers change a bit here, and they are further away. So now we are +8 instead of +3. So with those additional 5 frames, new things become possible, but the very least of which here is you can still visually assess if they up tech or back rise. And from that fact, oh, they back rolled, I can just walk forward and chuck them, right? But we can also do other kind of frame kill setups. Not the least of which is we can take a tiny step forward on top of just throwing them and still do a medium punch. So either way, since you have a lot of frame advantage, you can still take a couple frames to move forward and jam them with that button. Also, conversely, if for whatever reason you don't really trust your ability to catch them mashing a button or whatever, just stop them from mashing while you take your little step forward and go for a stand medium for a throw. In this setup here, if they back roll, after the jab, the stand medium kick hits perfectly meaty and actually gives you +3 frames of advantage to the usual 2 because it's hitting meaty. So hey, there you go. Also, really quick note, in the corner, if you are doing the same setup here, since the enemy has nowhere to go for a back roll in the corner, the back heavy kick hits super meaty as well, and hits meaty enough that's +3 frames of advantage, meaning you can just combo into a light kick into any version of lightning legs you want. So that's just the new and improved heavy lightning legs, and hey, we got a lot more to go. Next up, let's talk EX lightning legs and all versions of the spinning bird kick. All of them have the exact same version, so light, medium, heavy bird kick and EX lightning legs all have the exact same knockdown pressure and thus the same knockdown setups. And mid-screen, after all of them, it's very simple. All you gotta do is double dash forward, and you'll always be +2 on a quick rise. And if the enemy chooses to do back recovery instead, then you will be +7. So this is everywhere on screen, and since you're just doing 2 dashes forward, the advantage of the back rise, well, it doesn't really exist as much because you're still directly on top of them. So it's pretty universal. Just double dash after any EX legs or any bird kick. You're +2 on them if they quick rise, +7 if they back roll. So Bison is set to do his 3-frame button on wake up here just to show you that this crushes all button presses and all that kind of stuff. No matter what you do, you got them. So first up here, very simple. This is assuming first up here, we're doing a normal recovery, not a back roll. And after you're knocked down, stand medium punch, hey, crushes all buttons. And stand medium punch being 5 frames, and you know what else is 5 frames, right? Throw! So, very simple. After any SBK or any EX lightning legs, double dash forward, stand medium punch beats all buttons and any jump out attempts, and just going for a regular throw also beats out buttons. So, you basically have a nice little strike throw mix right then and there. Now, back recovery. So, back recovery, you can also do a bunch of fun stuff here. The easiest one here is just do back heavy. So, back heavy, the palm, it just, well, hey, it's a crush counter for one. So if they try to hit something, they'll get crush countered. And also, it is indeed plus on block too. So if they block it, then, take a nice little chunk of gray damage because it is a heavy, and it's still your turn. So that's an easy option to beat back rolls. And obviously, once again, because he's set to hit his 3-frame button, there's no mashing or anything possible through it. Now that's assuming mid-screen. If you're in the corner, things get a lot more sassy because you can actually cover both wake-ups with a simple option. All you gotta do is whiff crouch light kick for strictly timing purposes and back heavy punch, and you'll beat both wake-ups here. So let's demonstrate that real quick. So right now the enemy is on quick rise, and hey, I crush countered him. So same deal here, and we're gonna send him to back recovery now, and let's find out what happens. And hey, I still beat it because the back heavy punch has a lot of what we call active frames. The move is out there for a long time. So even though there's quite a large differential between the quick rise and the back roll, this has enough time just to cover both options. The enemy waking up and trying to hit buttons on either way, the quick rise or the back roll. So the pressure off either your EX legs or any of your bird kicks gets a lot stronger in the corner. So you actually can cover both wake-ups mid-screen too, but you have to be in V-Trigger 1. V-Trigger 1, as we went over earlier in the video, it changes a lot of properties for a lot of moves in a lot of ways, and one of them is, gives you just an extra active frame to work with here for stand light punch, and because of that, we can cover both wake-ups. So we'll use the classic setup we already used here, the double dash, and set the normal recovery right now. So we'll be in VT1, and hey, we counter hit him out of the 3-framer he's going for, right? But let's see what happens when he goes for a back recovery. We still got him. You might notice it hit like very late into the move, but still either way we got him. And from there you can go into like, you know, counter hit combos or whatever you want to do. So it's another way to cover both recoveries mid-screen, but it is unique to V-Trigger 1. So one of the changes in Champion Edition is Chun-Li's forward throw, I guess you could say, got nerfed a little bit. Before you could dash forward and be a little plus, but we are actually now negative if we dash forward. But still, one thing about it is we can get a true meaty here, and we can do it with stand heavy. So as you see here, stand heavy, as I went over earlier in the video, kind of has trouble hitting crouching people. But since it's a true meaty, even on the frame you're trying to crouch, it'll still smack you. And of course, beats 3-frame buttons and all that kind of stuff. So while it's not a lot, it is still something you can basically force them to take some guaranteed gray life. And if they think they're smart and try to do something, then they'll get clocked in the head by the stand heavy kick. So another fantastic situation for Chun-Li is her aerial throw. If you dash forward after your aerial throw, you're +6. And because you always go directly with the ground with the enemy, you don't got to worry about like weird height restrictions or what pixel you hit them on or anything like some other air throws. So you're just +6. So +6 means, hey, your turn. Simple as that. And once again, being a throw, that means you cannot do a back roll. You have to do a quick rise. Can't do it. Like, you don't get the multitudes of situations you can to defend yourself, right? You have to quick rise or no rise at all. That's it. And since you're +6, yo, stand medium, answer of the day. And since it's better than CE, all the better. And from there, you can go to counter hit combos. You can go to like regular old pressure if you get a hit, into a HK legs knockdown, whatever you want to do, right? The air throw is absolutely one of the better pressure situations for Chun-Li, to be sure. And just for completion's sake here, the super, all supers are true hard knockdowns. And for Chun-Li, very basic, very easy situation. Once again, just double dash forward, and we're going to be looking for the back heavy. And back heavy, hey, they try to hit a button, they get smoked. If not, it's still plus, you're still your turn. That kind of stuff, that is what you want to work with. Okay, so here's a classic. This has existed since day one of Street Fighter V, and if for whatever reason you don't know it, hey, you're about to learn. Actually, a lot of people don't seemingly know this one still. But yeah, after your super, it's true hard knockdown, all that fun stuff, right? Do your V skill 1 right away and just do a medium kick. And whoa, hey, so it said cross up, but why am I over here? So that's just kind of how that works. It'll always auto space you in the corner, so you don't have to worry about that. You'll always be in the right position. But yeah, just do V skill right away as your jump. Go for a medium kick, and it'll cross up, and hey, you're still on this side. So if you do that, and then say immediately go for like, you know, the usual, this kind of stuff here, the enemy immediately has to block like both sides. They have to block cross up, immediately block the other side, or they get hit. And also, just a quick note here, if they try to hit a button or something during this initial cross up here, it will leave you actually on the other side because it'll move them forward just a tiny little bit during the counter hit. But yeah, that's simple. As you saw here, you can manually recreate it yourself here, the cross up. But the super puts you in the exact perfect spot to do it without any manual timing or spacing. So, hey, that's just a neat little gimmick. Once again, they have to block both sides really quick. They have to block the cross up and then immediately block the other side. And if they don't block one or the other, then you just combo out. It's easy peasy. So let's talk about the mix-up potential of V-Trigger 2. Now, I know it's like the big hit, so you don't really think it's about mix-ups because, you know, you want to use your buttons here and then, you know, get follow-ups and all that kind of stuff, right? But you have mix-up potential with it, and that's corner only, and let's show you what it's about. So it creates the juggle OK state, right? And from that juggle OK state, hey, we just got a little tricky. We are also advantage after that, so if we both hit buttons at the same time, hey, you're going to win as Chun-Li, right? But yeah, you can just kind of cross up after it. So you can do that, just stand jab, and we're using after legs, for example, but you can do it off anything, doesn't really matter. But yeah, just do a stand jab and dash under, and that's all there is to it. Now, if you want to very slightly, and I mean very slightly, delay it, then hey, you stay same side. So that's inherently the left-right mix-up. It looks visually the same either way. Only you will know. So if you do it fastest possible timing, dash under, hey, you're crossing up. If you do the tiniest delay in either the hit or the dash itself, you stay same side. That's your mix. Now, since the startup of VT2 has more launch potential, you can actually just use stand medium instead of stand jab, and all it is you just get, you know, a little bit more damage. So same difference, effectively. You get a little bit more damage, and same deal works here. Just slight delay, and you'll wait, or you'll stay on the same side versus the cross up. But yeah, it's really that simple. So if you're in a situation where the enemy is very close to stun or something, and you need the reset, this is probably what you want to go for. But yeah, that is the V Trigger 2. Very easy cross under setup. So let's talk the tricky stuff. So Street Fighter V, execution-wise, is certainly not like Street Fighter 4, right? It doesn't demand as much use as Street Fighter 4, but Chun-Li has always had more of the trickier stuff in the game, right? What am I talking about? So I am talking about stuff like bird kick combos. People still struggle with that. On day one to this day, years later, people still struggle. I'll show you how that's done. Instant air legs here. People still struggle with instant air legs and, you know, all sorts of combo stuff. We'll talk about that. Instant air stomps into legs in the comboing. That's another tricky one. Let's talk about that as well. So, hey, let's start off first here with bird kick combo stuff. Alright, for all these, I'm going to have my inputs on just so you can see what I'm talking about here. But yeah, the bird kick combo, the big thing is just this. So, any version of the bird kick combo usually goes like something like this, right? And it's even more important now that you can do HK legs, or either HK SBK, because you get more damage and more stun, right? But they all version go stand medium punch, crouch medium kick, and then bird kick. So all you have to do is trickier in your mind than you might think it actually is in reality. So all you have to do is after you hit stand medium punch, just immediately hold down. That's all it is. Just immediately hold down, and then you have plenty of time to do your combo and all that. You need to do that to build your charge, because if you only start holding down after you do medium kick, you're never going to have enough time to build charge for it. And that's literally that simple. So if I do this version here, all I have to do is when I stand up here to hit my stand jab, I just immediately hold down on my controller. That simple. And from there, I'll have enough charge and go into SBK. One thing to note here about the combo itself, if you're a little further out, while you can now combo into the heavy version SBK, if you are further out, the heavy version will miss. So you'd have to use the medium version that in that instance, because it is a faster startup. But yeah, it's really all there is to it. Just as soon as you hit stand medium, hold down. That's really all there is. And from there, combo out. It might take a bit of practice to wrap your mind around it. I remember back when this game originally came out, it was some amount of difficulty for me as well, right? I couldn't get it right away, but, you know, practice, you know, maybe put on some music or something. Just hit down right away and hold down, obviously, because you need charge. Just hold down right away after you do your move, and you'll have enough charge to do your spinning bird kick by the time your combo's done. It's really that simple. So let's talk instant air legs. So these are tricky guys, and there's a couple different ways to do it. And I myself, I do a different motion for player 1 and player 2 side. I literally can't do it the motion player 1 side to make it work on player 2, and yet vice versa, right? So there's quite a few ways to do it. And why it's useful? Well, hey, you're not on the ground, right? So throw attacks, all that kind of stuff, anything, you know, crouch, like kick, or medium kick, whatever related. You go over a lot of garbage. Like, it's really that simple. Like, it's very valuable to have a move like this, right? Generally speaking, when you're doing this, you're doing the medium kick version, as it gives you the most amount of frame advantage. The thing to note here about that is generally, if you do it perfectly, you'll be +4. And if you're +4, you can go right into crouch light. But if you're just even a little bit off, you're going to be +3 instead, especially if you're further out. Generally, the more on top of the enemy you are, the more plus you're going to be. And if you're only +3, then you want to use crouch light kick, because that's the 3-frame move. So the ideal combo is something like this, where you go and do the bird kick combo. And I dropped the bird kick combo, which I guess I should listen to my own advice earlier in the video, right? But you go for the bird kick combo, but if not, then I see it's pretty hard sometimes, right? But if not, then you do something like this. So how do we do it? So the thing about it is, it won't let you do it frame 1. It won't let you do it as low to the ground as possible. If you do, you just get jump medium kick instead. There is a minimum ceiling height you have to pass before the game will let you do the move. So the most basic way to do it is just, well, jump and do it. So like jump forward and immediately go for your lightning legs. So that is the way I do it on player 2 side myself. So I just jump forward and go for legs. That simple. You can jump up as well. Also works the same deal. It's purely a speed-based thing. Just jump and quarter circle forward, medium, and that's really all there is to it. Now, conversely, there's ways to kind of build in the timing automatically for you. So that method is you do the tiger knee motion. So down, down, forward, forward. That takes care of the requirement for the legs itself. And then go straight into up, and then just kind of work your way back down. Working your way back down here, as you can see on my inputs here, it doesn't actually do anything in and of itself, but it just gives you an idea for the timing you need, then you can hit your button. And for me, that works good on the player 1 side. And your mileage may vary what side you're on, right? So going back to down once again, you don't have to do it. It's just a timing measure to let you know, okay, by the time your hand can move back down, you have passed the minimum ceiling you need to pass to do the legs. Another way to do it is to do the 360 motion. So basically just jump forward and then do a full 360 like you're doing a Zangief pile driver and go for it. Once again, this is purely a speed thing. And I myself, I'm not too great at this exact motion because I usually wind up doing a little too high up, but still, that's another way you can do it. Just think of it like a Zangief spinning pile driver, except you're starting with up forward and working your way all around. So this is not essential, right? But it is certainly good to know because it has so many valid tactics, be it from long range stuff, going over stuff, just blowing past throw stuff. Back in the day, Season 1, this used to be plus on block if you could believe it, right? So if you do it at the proper height, it's -2, so it's safe. But, -2 is still not a position you want to be. And the slower you are, say, if you get a little higher up, you're going to be more negative. Like, that's -4. And that's death, right? It's more forgiving on height if you do the light kick version. So, play around which one's more comfortable for you. But if you do it perfectly, it is going to be -2 on block. And the more you screw it up, then you go to -3, -4, more punishable territory. But yeah, play around with it. It's difficult. It's hard. You will have to practice it if you can't do it already. But it is a valuable tool in the toolbox. So the final thing to talk about here for the tricky stuff is instant air stomps, which are valuable in and of themselves, counter hit into the light version of lightning legs, which then starts a combo, and you can combo out from that. So instant air stomps by themselves, hey, they're already kind of valuable because, well, they're instant air. They hit crouching people overhead. So if you're looking for like a round close situation, this is going to do it. Now, the thing to note here, this is actually, in my personal opinion, trickiest on an arcade stick. So I'm using an arcade stick right now if you can't hear it come through the thing. But yeah, the stomps don't accept inputs from the diagonals. So if you hit diagonal or down back for your medium kick here, nothing. Has to be straight down for the stomp. So when you're jumping here, with an arcade stick specifically, into the stomp, you have to go straight down. If you have any imprecision in your diagonals and you hit the button, you lose it. Versus a pad, it's very easy for a pad just to put your thumb to down, or if you're on a hitbox or a mix box, a lot easier, right? So it's a little harder on stick than other control methods, in my opinion anyways. But still, very valuable. You can practice it and get it crisp. And yeah, so that in and of itself is good. Hit the crouching enemy and the round. That's great. But the purpose of this combo is this, because we want it as a counter hit, the combo. So the idea here is you're catching like throw attacks here, you're catching people trying to hit buttons, or just do something stupid, and then we can get a much bigger, more valuable setup. So as you can see right there. So I'm going to lightning legs here, I'm +4. If you do have the perfect timing, and it's difficult, if you have the perfect timing, you can actually +5. So you can combo directly into stand medium. In this situation, you want to be crisp enough to aim for at least +4. Right there, you saw it was +3. So at the very least, you can still do this. Minimum, if it connects. Like, combo from there. But yeah, it's tricky. So the big thing is this. Once you have the instant air stomp part done, right? The idea is, and you go into lightning legs. But the timing throws a lot of people off. Because the idea is, like many moves are special cancelable, right? And so you want to do it as fast as possible. And it doesn't work that way in this game. See, it's very difficult. I'm screwing up on the stick here. It doesn't work this way in this game. The stomp is not special cancelable. You have to wait for the move to actually finish and then go for your lightning legs. So that is the biggest deal here. If you try to go for it too quick, nothing will happen. You might get like the N input and do like a jump light and it'll look like something like that. And if you're too late, well then you do lightning legs way too high up and it doesn't matter, right? So there's very much a sweet spot. So once again, you want the stomp to complete, because it is not special cancelable, but after the completion of the stomp, you'll immediately go into light, not medium, not heavy, but the light version of lightning legs. It's difficult. Like, I'm screwing this up and I'm recording this. I'm leaving this in. I want to show you. This is... I'm not showing you, like, the perfect cut of this because it's tricky stuff. You will have to practice this quite a bit. But, hey, once you get it, the rewards are strong. Once again, this is not an essential piece of tech because, hey, 9 times out of 10, games with Chun-Li, you're winning because you're just punching them in the face with stand heavy punch, right? Like, this is not the most hyper essential tech, but all these little tidbits of tech matter. And you getting the perfect stomp into your legs, into a combo, all that kind of stuff, that matters a lot. And this is the kind of extra flavorful tech you need to just put you over the edge. So yeah, that's Chun-Li in a nutshell. So we went over a lot in this video, from basic stuff like, hey, Kikoken's pretty good, you want to do that, you want to work with it. Maybe it's not Sonic Boom, but hey, it works to, more advanced concepts. Learning your knockdown pressure is very key, as she has solid Oki now and solid pressure off every knockdown she has. Anywhere on the screen, obviously better in the corner, but anywhere on the screen, so that's very important stuff. And we went over the very hard stuff too in the last segment, but in the end, you're still going to be best rewarded, just like, yo, good spacing and stand heavy punch. That can still win you a lot of your matches, right? So if you're newer to Street Fighter V, Chun-Li is a character that will reward you by learning the basics. Like, you don't have to learn the heavy advanced concepts. You don't got to learn, like, weird mix-ups like some other characters have. Like, you don't need to learn your weird Ibuki left-right combos or V-trigger robbery setups or any of that. You can just win by just playing proper fighting games and hitting proper buttons and good spacing and all that fun stuff. And to me, that's always been the most fun part of fighting games anyways. So Chun-Li's really good for it. And with that, I hope this guide worked for you. I hope you learned something. And I guess that's the end of this video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video found you well. Go out and play some Street Fighter.